For those who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, finding the courage to change is the first step to lasting recovery. Discover life in recovery. Discover Glen Bay.
Glen Bay, nationally recognized drug and alcohol treatment for adults. Discover more at glenbay.com.
Here we are again with Ken Butsey. This is about money. Money is one of the most important relationships you have, and learning how to manage it is really crucial. Ken's coming here, welcome.
Thank you.
To talk about, and I need help with this, the IRA, difference between Roth IRA, regular IRA. Now you're with Integrity First Planners, and you yourself are a financial planner.
That's correct.
So you're going to educate us on this.
Okay, very simply, an IRA is an individual retirement account. Many people have large IRAs because they accumulated the wealth probably at their employer and then rolled it into an IRA. Okay. There's roughly about 13 trillion or so in IRAs today. Okay. The Roth IRA was created by TIPRA in 1997, the Taxpayer Relief Act of 1997. And the Roth IRA basically gave investors an opportunity to put money into an account. The money generally came from their checking account or their savings account. It was after-tax dollars. Put it into their account. Hopefully the investments went up in value, and when they take the money out of their Roth IRA, it's all tax-free. There's very few people that have these kinds of investments, though, because one of the things that TIPRA did is it made it very difficult for people of means to be able to contribute to Roth IRAs.
Okay. Now, whenever I hear somebody say something's tax-free, I think, wait a minute.
It's too good to be true, right?
Right.
Right. Well, in an IRA, when you go and take your money out of it, almost every single dollar is going to show up on the tax return as tax-free, as taxable income.
Okay.
Whereas the Roth IRA, it's tax-free income. What's special about 2010?
I was going to ask you that.
Okay. What's special about 2010 is that Congress has waived the income restrictions for people to contribute to a Roth IRA if they're rolling an existing IRA into a Roth IRA, and it's called converting it.
Okay.
So for example, say you have a $100,000 IRA, you can convert any dollar amount up to that $100,000 into the Roth IRA. But that money is going to show up on your tax return. What's special about 2010 is that you have a choice that you can pick from, either to pay those taxes equally over 2011 and 2012,
okay,
or all at once. And that's the big issue with what's going on now.
So you're still paying taxes, you just get the choice to spread it over a couple of years.
That's right.
Okay.
And that conversion has to happen by the end of this year.
All right. Now, I understand that the Roth IRA looks very attractive, but why is it that the government's offering this opportunity to us?
Well, you know, if you think about the government's a little strapped for money right now, by putting this in place, they're expecting a windfall to occur from all the people that are taking advantage of it.
Okay.
Okay. Generally speaking, I like a Roth IRA. It's the only investment that I know that you can put in $1, have it grow to $2, and take all $2 back. Whereas an IRA, it grows from $1 to $2. You don't know until tax time how much of that growth you got to get back.
Right,
okay?
right.
But it might not be for everyone because of the tax implications behind it.
Right.
Okay. So,
I heard out there that Roth IRAs are good to have, but I really never understood like the difference between the IRA and the Roth IRA. So this really clarifies.
I really think one of the reasons you haven't is because of this problem where many people haven't been able to contribute to it because of the income restrictions were too punitive. And now it's with that lifted, and it's very important to understand that's only dollars that are being converted from an existing IRA.
I see.
The income restrictions are still there for contributing to an IRA, to a Roth IRA.
Will you promise me something? Will you come back?
I would love to.
Because honestly, I need help with this.
I'd love to. There's one other point I really want to make real quickly on the Roth IRA. One thing you're allowed to do with these Roth IRAs, remember I said it's a conversion? If you completely mess it up or you change your mind, you get a financial mulligan, a do-over. It's by October 15th of the following year. So let's say right now you go and make this conversion, and in April or so when you're doing your taxes you decide you don't like it, IRS allows you to go back, fill out a form, and do it all over again as if it never happened.
Wow, that's unusual.
It's almost
that's amazing.
Very unusual.
So that's the deadline that we're talking about. Now, if you're like me and you're listening to this and you're thinking, I have no clue, I need help, you want to give Ken a call because he makes it very easy to understand. You can get a hold of Ken at integrityfirstplanners.com, or you can call him at 216-751-4229. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the Romance Review.
Next, we'll help you understand doctor's orders when it comes to extended care for your loved one. Then, having second thoughts about going through with a wedding? Coach Kathy will share some thoughts of her own.
This Romance Review, I love this one. I've been to this place many, many times. It's a restaurant. It's called the Vine and Bean Cafe. It is on Larchmere Boulevard, and it's owned by the same woman who owns Lucky's in Tremont. She bought this in, I think it was 2008. What I love about this restaurant is it's cozy, it's warm, and they get all their food from local Ohio farmers. Their pastries are fresh. There's no processed food. When you walk in, it just invites you. It's a house, basically. You walk into the living room, there's a fireplace, there's a bay window, then there are all these little nooks and crannies where you can just sit with your partner and share a dessert or a meal. It's really so romantic. Also, a couple times a week they have musical groups. My favorite one that they have is Jean's Jazz Hot. Think about this. You walk in, the fireplace is going, the jazz combos in the bay window. It feels like you're in the 1930s. It's really wonderful. Check it out. We'll be back.
Join in as Al's Deli celebrates its 5th anniversary. Nestled in downtown Cleveland's 55 Erie View Plaza building, Al's Deli serves breakfast, lunches, delicious Middle Eastern dishes, and has catering too. Al's Deli, a hidden treasure for your tummy. Log on for money-saving coupons today.
Picture this. It's your loved one, and your loved one has been in the hospital for 2 weeks. Either they're sick from a disease or they've had an accident, and they're there and they have to go somewhere. They've been in ICU. Where are they going to go? And what's going to happen to you? We have someone here, Dr. Sopko from Kindred Healthcare. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Now, you are a lung specialist, correct?
Specialist in lung disease and critical care, yes.
Okay, so I'm picturing this. I hope this never happens, but I have a family member who has had an accident, punctured a lung, they can't breathe, they're on a ventilator. Okay, it's been 2 weeks in the hospital, and now it's like, see ya, we gotta go. Where do we go?
Well, sadly, there are some people who aren't ready to go home yet after they've been in an acute care hospital, as we think of them. Those are actually called short-term acute care hospitals.
Okay.
All the hospitals you know in Cleveland, basically. But there's a different type of hospital that are called long-term acute care hospitals, and Kindred Healthcare is one of those. And that's a level of care above a nursing home, which is an extension of the acute care that they received in the other hospital.
Okay, now, we've been dealing with the doctor, right, for 2 weeks in the bigger hospital. So now we're into Kindred. Who's going to take care of my loved one?
Well, in many cases, the same doctors can go to Kindred.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's true. We have relationships with other facilities, and we certainly encourage that. Or, if that's not possible, another physician will be assigned. But there's a primary physician who's going to follow the patient every day, and there will be subspecialists called in. All the specialties you can think of, pulmonary and gastroenterology, infectious disease, whatever's necessary, wound care, rehabilitation, and that whole group of specialists will care for your loved one.
Now, I have this visual of my loved one on a ventilator. I personally have never seen anyone face-to-face on a ventilator, but that's pretty scary. So how do you help the family members deal
Those are the
with
folks with the little plastic tubes in the windpipe, the tracheostomies on a machine. Well, yes, and it is scary because it's a life support device, and our job is to get those people off of those devices. Many times people have remained on a ventilator in an acute care hospital and they're just too weak to come off. And so it's a process of getting their muscles stronger, of rehabilitation, and that's really what we do.
Now I have a question. Say this person is in really good shape. You know, they've worked out all their life and they have this accident. You picture somebody in good shape is going to, like, you know, rebound right away. But you're telling me that this lung, it's got nothing to do with the fact that you were in good shape before you had this accident.
I would say nothing. I mean,
Really?
it's a factor. I mean, in
Oh,
general,
okay.
if you're in good shape and you don't have diabetes and heart failure, you're going to do better. But there are some young folks who, particularly trauma, you know, where we'll see those referred from the trauma centers, and it's a slower recovery for them. But again, it's by the time they come to us, the acute injury is pretty much over. Now they're just weak. You know, if you've ever spent 2 weeks in bed for a prolonged period of time, you actually can barely move anything.
That's amazing.
So you got to rebuild the muscles, and we have a very strong rehabilitation arm called People First that sees these folks as well. So it's a major piece of what goes on at Kindred.
Okay. Well, what you serve, how you're serving the community is amazing. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
Well,
and if
thank you.
Yes, if you happen to have a family member, I hope you don't, but someone who needs this service, you can get a hold of Kindred Healthcare by calling them at 216-983-8030 or log on to kindredcleveland.com. We will be back with more of Can You Relate?
Coming up, Kathy shares her tips for before you take that trip down the aisle. And on next week's show, your age says you're an adult, so why do some life decisions feel too grown up for you to make? We'll help you find answers next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
This week's Get a Life is about cooking. Now, I don't know if you like to cook. I'm kind of not real excited about it, but I do like to go to a class because I really love to learn. This week we're going to talk about cooking classes at the Viking Cooking School. Now, I have done cooking classes. I don't know if you have, but it's a fun thing to do either with your spouse or with your child, or you could get the whole family together. Or how about a girls' night out? It's really fun. The fun thing about this is that you get to cook in different ways. They have different kinds of classes like Italian, they might have French cooking, there might be desserts. Whatever it is, it's a wonderful group activity. It's a great thing to do to make a memory. So if you think you might be interested in taking a cooking class at Viking Cooking School, you can learn more about it by going to CanYouRelateTV.com, or you can go to VikingCookingSchool.com. And if you go on and go to info@CanYouRelate.com and tell us that you would like to take some cooking classes, you actually might win 2 free cooking classes. So much fun. Stay tuned because now we're going to go into Ask Coach Kathy.
Craig and Mark Lindahl in Grange Insurance understand that 1 minute you're out there living life to the fullest. The next thing you know, you've got sweeping changes to make and your family's future to think about. Talk to Lindahl Insurance about how to save by putting all of your insurance with Grange, protecting your possessions and the ones you love. When things zig instead of zag, contact Lindahl Insurance or visit their website.